What's up, brand builder? Stephen Hurahan here of BrandMasterAcademy.com, and in this video you're going to learn what brand repositioning is with top strategy examples. So you can understand the opportunities behind this strategy to realign and refocus with a fresh perspective. Now, if you're new to the channel and you want to build brands that go beyond the visuals using strategy, psychology, and creative thinking, then you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. If you want to fast track your results, make sure you grab the Pro Brand Strategy Blueprint. It's a free download and the link is in the description. Now, brands are built with the purpose of making businesses more memorable and appealing to a given audience. Now, they achieve this by clarifying the unique point of difference and then communicating that difference through an offer and a message that resonates with that audience. And that is brand positioning 101. But what if a brand doesn't achieve that? What if it doesn't resonate with its audience? Or what if the conditions change and, suddenly the market throws up an opportunity that didn't previously exist? Well, in this video, you're going to learn what brand repositioning is, why it's so important, and how brand managers can use it to refocus their brand. What exactly is repositioning? Well, it's the process that a brand goes through to adjust or overhaul its perception in the market to better appeal to its target audience. Now, there are many reasons that a brand's leadership team might decide on a strategic change, which we'll dive into in a little bit later on. But ultimately, the goal is the same. The purpose of the repositioning is quite simply to reposition the brand in the mind of the audience so they see the brand and its offering as a more viable option. Or to put it another way, to refocus the brand and change how the market perceives it. So why is repositioning an important option? Well, the fact of the matter is markets aren't static. They're changing all the time. And if brands aren't able to find, first and foremost, a profitable seat at the table, or they're unable to adapt to change when it comes about, then the strategy needs consideration. So repositioning is such an important strategy for many brands because there are no guarantees when it comes to strategy. There are no guarantees for success, and changes in the market, they happen all the time. They're pretty much inevitable. Failure to adapt one way or another will ultimately result in failure, or at least failure to take advantage. But when it comes to repositioning, it's not about risks or opportunity. There are both risks and opportunity when it comes to defining a repositioning strategy, or at least deciding to go down that road. So let's take a look at what some of the advantages and disadvantages are of the repositioning strategy. Now, look, the cost of repositioning can vary dramatically depending on the branding agency or the service provider being used, but there are many advantages to brand repositioning if the strategy is warranted in the first place. Advantage number one is refocus the target audience. Now, the repositioning process, much like the positioning process, requires an in-depth analysis of the target audience. So by identifying the segments that make up the market, then zeroing in on the target segments of choice, the leadership team can then drill down into the detail of the audience, including their goals, their challenges, their fears, and their desires. Now, this level of laser-focused targeting enhances the brand's ability to connect with their audience's needs. Number two, enhance competitive advantage. Now, a positioning strategy that considers more up-to-date market conditions and a better understanding of the competitive landscape should, by virtue of its purpose, provide more enhanced competitive advantage. Now, whether the advantage highlights the outcome, the benefits, the meaning, or the big idea, the way the advantage is delivered through the brand's messaging should strengthen the brand's perceived edge. Advantage number three, a fresh perception. Now, a brand repositioning exercise might have little or nothing at all to do with the product or service offering. Now, in this case, the repositioning strategy is built around a better way to convey the value of the brand and its products to the audience. But many of the world's most successful brands have completely reinvigorated the trajectory of the brand just by making those tweaks, just by creating a fresh perception in the market about what that brand means. Now, although there are many advantages behind repositioning or choosing to go down the repositioning road, it doesn't mean that it's the best approach for every brand considering that option. In fact, there are some disadvantages of repositioning that you really should be aware of if you're considering going down that road. Disadvantage number one, repositioning can be expensive. Now, a brand's position in the market is shaped by the brand's perception, which ultimately stems from the brand experience. Now, throughout a given brand, there might be upwards of 100 touch points, which can include the website, social media channels, physical stores, printed collateral, packaging, traditional ads, digital ads, vehicle fleets, and distribution channels. Now, the cost of work by the agency and then changing all of these is costly in and of itself, but there are also more costs, which I'll get into in a little bit. Disadvantage number 2, alienating existing customers. Now, many rebrands happen as a result of expansion into bigger markets. And more often than not, this requires the brand to adopt a more inclusive language and communication, which could well be an important factor in their success in the first place with their core audience. Now, adjusting the brand's positioning strategy too much can leave that group of people, that group of loyal customers, feeling alienated or abandoned if the brand really changes the position with less specificity to that core audience and speaks to them with less specificity, is less relevant to who that audience is. And disadvantage number 3 is risking brand equity. Now, brands that go through a repositioning strategy, they put the existing brand equity at risk if they've built that up over time. So if a brand has been around for many years and they've built up a reputation in the market, the value of that reputation and their customers' willingness to purchase the brand over the competition based on that reputation, that is a valuable asset. So repositioning could dent that reputation in their customers' mind and their customers' willingness to purchase that brand, which ultimately destroys that valuable equity. Now, repositioning success stories are a big motivator to pull the trigger to change or enhance the fortunes of the brand. Now, this could be to reclaim lost market share or to expand into bigger markets. So let's take a look at some of the most successful repositioning examples. Example number 1, Taco Bell. Now, Taco Bell is a Mexican fast food restaurant that carried the cheap perception and reputation for quite a while, which was hampering its growth. Now, with increased competition in the market and healthier options such as Chipotle stealing their market share, Taco Bell needed a new approach. So its repositioning took on a fresh young approach, and instead of competing on nutritional value of their food, which the likes of Chipotle was doing, they gave their customers more freedom. They gave them the lifestyle choice that worked for them. So their Live Más tagline, which is live more in English, points to the idea that living more means not always having to be on your best behavior and giving yourself the freedom to live life on your own terms. Now, along with the refresh of their messaging and their identity, their introduction of higher end cantina venues really revamped the interior designs and helped them to shake that cheap perception to give their customers a more modern lifestyle choice. Example number 2 is Old Spice. Now, I created an entire article and video of the Old Spice rebrand where I go into a lot more detail about the brand heritage and the repositioning strategy. Now, if you haven't seen that yet, I'll leave a link in the description below. You can check that out. But after decades of allowing their aging brand, their old man's brand, to become stale and outdated, P&G, who was the parent brand, they knew something was up. They knew the writing was on the wall and they needed to change their approach. So they ditched their outdated slippers and cardigan approach and they stripped down and they bulked up and they mounted a white horse and smashed that old man brand's perception with bags of personality and humor. Their Man Your Man Can Smell Like campaign was a YouTube sensation, and that helped to catapult the brand and really change the trajectory of this struggling brand to make it the #1 men's body wash brand in the world inside 12 months. Now, what I love about this repositioning is that there was no change in the product here. There's no change to the product formula. It was the same products. It was just a change in their positioning in terms of how they approach their audience, in terms of who they approach and the way they approach them. And they just loaded up with a truck full of character and laugh out loud humor to connect. And example number 3 is MailChimp. Now, in contrast to the 2 previous examples, MailChimp wasn't a struggling brand reacting to poor performance. MailChimp was a very healthy brand and they had built a solid reputation as a small business email provider with a loyal fan base. Now, their brand identity was outdated at the time of the repositioning, but that wasn't the reason for their repositioning. They probably would have gotten away with that brand identity for many more years because their brand personality was so quirky. But the reason the repositioning strategy came about was because MailChimp saw an opportunity in the market to expand and to become more of a marketing solutions platform than just an email platform. So they left that email only reputation at the door that had catapulted them to success by that stage. The repositioning strategy included a bold brand identity revamp, and along with a subtle shift in their messaging, it really positioned MailChimp to enable them to guide small business owners and their small business audience with their evolving market needs as they grew over time. Now, when it comes to repositioning, there are many potential advantages to the strategy if the brand strategy is warranted in the first place. It does provide a brand with an opportunity to take stock of where they are, and if it needs to reinvigorate or refocus the brand to reconnect with that audience. Now, whether you're approaching a new market or giving an existing market a new perspective, it's always important to keep a close eye on what your customers are looking for. Now, if the brand has already managed to stake a claim in a valuable place in the audience's mind, then the brand is set. But if not, it might be time to identify and then go after a valuable place in that mind. Now, when it comes to positioning or repositioning your brand, one of the first ports of call is raising brand awareness. If you want to understand what brand awareness is and how to raise it, then this video will help you out. Until next time, brand like a master, and I'll see you in the next video.